It's been proven that sharing joy in someone else's successes can help improve your own life satisfaction, but it's also possible to misread someone's win as your loss. So my next guest wants parents to teach this valuable lesson early in the home, that when something good happens to others, you can help your kids celebrate it rather than resent it. Our favorite Brooke Romney is joining me with ways to raise cheerleaders, which I love this title. I had a mom who, this was very important to her, to raise cheerleaders, meaning raising daughters who knew how to applaud others. And I sense you had a mom like that as well.
Yes, well, and your mom did such a good job because you are fantastic at it.
Thank you.
So,
We'll pass that compliment forward. But celebrating others is actually one of the first manners in your Modern Manners book. You consider this kind of a point of etiquette.
Yes, so in Modern Manners 2, it's one of the first manners, and I think the reason is because my manners books aren't about like what you should and shouldn't do. It's about how to live a successful life. And I think celebrating others leads to a really successful and just a happy, content, peaceful life. And that's what I want more than anything for kids and for teenagers.
And it does have to be, it's a muscle that you have to build in an authentic, sincere way, right? We can say the words,
yes,
good job, but what you describe happens when you actually form that connection and feel it. Like you're genuinely thrilled for someone who's succeeding. And it's hard, it's a hard enough lesson, I think, for grown women to learn. It can feel like an even harder lesson to teach our kids in their younger mindset.
Yeah, I think so too, is because it's really natural. Like, I think it's a very natural thing for us when somebody wins to feel like we lost. I don't think that's a weird thing. I think that's really natural.
Agreed.
And so I think you really have to be pretty deliberate when you teach this.
And that look in the mirror situation is actually your first point. If you want to teach this to your children, you yourself has to be a mom, a woman who is outwardly celebrating other women.
For sure, and I think that's maybe the most important thing. Like you said, you saw your mom do it. And one of the things I think we can be really aware of ourselves is, especially when our kids are involved. So if your kid comes home and says, "Mom, so-and-so made the yummiest treat," instead of saying like, "Oh, well, she must have so much time to make good food for everyone," right?
Yeah.
You say like, "That's awesome. She is such a great cook. I should try to get that recipe."
Yeah.
There's just a different way that you can go about it. Or if if they come home and say, my friend came home, her mom did a career day and she has the coolest job. Instead of saying, "Well, I don't know how she makes time for everything," you say, "That's so awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to learn more about that. Like, is that something you would want to do?" There's just different ways. And I think our kids really take a lot of cues from us and who we are in how they think they should be.
They read into that. I'm smiling because you just like called me out
without
knowing. No, but my Emmy goes to a darling friend's house and always comes home and tells me about their delicious meals.
Yes.
And so we had said friend over last week, and I made sure to say, I'd love to have her stay for dinner. We're having Alfredo, homemade Alfredo with seasoned chicken and bread. I was trying
It's all homemade. You'll love it.
Homemade? Did I say it was homemade?
I love it.
Anyway, I appreciate that though, and I also appreciate the reminder, and this applies to all things, that your children are listening and they're watching and they're picking up on those cues. You say we can also help initiate celebrations for their friends.
Yeah, so instead of, sometimes I think when one of their friends does something great or, makes a team or is the star in a play, sometimes as parents it is hard. Like, we sometimes take that as our kid isn't as good, but really helping our kids celebrate them. So if your child's friend is the star of the play, buy tickets and go and watch and clap. And if you can, bring a flower. Make them see that it's okay and really, really fun to be part of someone else's greatness.
I'll add to, just again, complimenting my mom. She was really good about role playing this, like putting the words in your mouth. Like, I had a best friend who was very successful in the musical and theater, and we were going for the same things, and she was getting it and I was not. But my mom was really good about saying, "How are you going to show up and celebrate Tara? What words are you going to say when you see that she gets the lead part, or when you see?" And that was really wise, because sometimes they don't know how to act. They don't know how to celebrate.
That is so brilliant. I love that. That's such a great way to help our kids find those words. And honestly, sometimes when you just say them, they become reality.
Yes.
And so I love that.
You feel what you say. You want us to remind our kids that it's fun when good things happen to good people.
Yes. So so for an example, so I have teenagers. So when somebody gets a new car when they turn 16,
oh boy,
right?
Yeah.
It's really easy if you're driving borrowing your parents' car to be like, "Oh my gosh, that kid's so spoiled. He gets everything he wants. That's so lame," Instead of be like, "How fun is it that he has a brand new car to drive?"
Yeah.
Like, that is so fun.
Yeah.
Now you can ride with him and you don't have to drive our old crappy car.
Exactly. Call shotgun is the word I was looking for.
Totally.
Which dates me
really
just saying
fun.
that word, but you get it.
They still do.
Do they still say shotgun?
Yeah, I think they still do.
Okay, you want us to remind our kids that two things can be true. What do you mean by that?
So you can lose a game and feel really sad and frustrated. And you can also say that the other team played well. So sometimes I think
good.
we expect too much of our kids that like, well, if you're a good person, you won't feel sad that you didn't get the part
Yeah.
or that you didn't make the team or that you didn't win the game.
I love
But it's
that.
okay to say, yeah, like this really sucks. I hate where I'm at. Like I'm so mad that we didn't win. But instead of saying they got lucky or the refs were in their favor, you stay instead like they had a really good game.
I love that. I love that. Finally, the celebrations won't always be reciprocal, and that's okay.
Yeah, I think sometimes sometimes our kids celebrate and then expect it in return.
Yeah.
And that's not going to happen very often, truly. And so understanding like inside, that's what's exciting is that you are a person that celebrates. Whether people celebrate you or not, that defines you, that's someone you are, and that makes you enjoy life a lot more, even if nobody thinks to celebrate you in return.
I love this topic so much. I love that you're teaching it as a manner or as a
Yes.
successful point of life. Where can we get your book that so many parents just, I know, are so grateful for?
So Volume 2 is in Costco in Utah, Arizona, and Idaho, and then Volume 1 and Volume 2 are on Amazon.
Awesome. And we can get more words from you online.
Yep, Brooke Romney writes on Instagram or brookeromney.com.
I mean, you'll be loving and commenting on every post she shares because you're putting that much good out in the world, friend. So thank you so much for sharing your light with us.